Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman, and we're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Lance Sexton, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Delaney Sexton's going to talk about Main Street Money, and Anna Griggs, welcome. And you're going to give us your update on your hotel work. Anna, for those of you who don't know, is our special projects intern. And Anna, we have you for what, another month, or when do you graduate?
Yeah, about a month and a half.
And what's your degree going to be in?
Advertising and promotions.
And Anna came from us from the Michigan SBDC. I think they traded us, or I don't know how that worked out, but they referred you to us. So thank you very much, Michigan, and go blue. Okay, let's go. At your financial institutions, SBA loan delinquencies are?
Bob, I really look forward to seeing this answer because I think I know what it is, but...
Well, I'll let you. I'll let you go ahead and jump in here. There's no script on this.
I have to believe that delinquencies are increasing at most institutions. Payments are higher.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, that's good news.
Yeah. So 1 in 10 are saying they're probably 1 in 10 say they're decreasing, probably because our poll is poorly worded, which we always do.
Yeah, I think, one of the challenges we have is of course, we've had incredible increases in the interest rate that have resulted in much higher payments for the small businesses. And it's hard for me to believe that some of the small businesses are not having a hard time with the new increased payment amounts.
Well, Lance, the reason we're asking this question, you and Delaney came up with this idea, and we're going to do it, about polling and coming up with industry benchmarks about lender attitudes on what's going in. And we know the Fed does one, but we're going to specialize it strictly for SBA lending and drill down to help you understand how you are compared with other lenders. So Delaney brought that idea up, and I said, that's a great project, Delaney, run with it. How's that for?
Well, I think a lot of SBA lenders sit back and see a particular thing happen in their portfolio, and they don't want to hear necessarily what commercial lending delinquents. They want to know what other SBA lenders are experiencing. So having some benchmarks for SBA-specific lenders would be a great thing.
Well, I think it's a good idea. I know Delaney does an excellent job on doing the recap of the surveys that come out about small business sentiment. And while that's important, those also tend to be optimistic because all small business entrepreneurs, they have to be optimistic to survive. Yeah. But we're going to go ahead and do that. And just a follow-up to that, I threw this in, is how do you feel about your commercial real estate small business loan portfolio? And I'm talking conventional as well as SBA. Lance, this is something you and I have been looking at, and COVID changed the world, and it's changed the world in terms of commercial real estate, and we want to track this. What do you think the answer is going to be, Lance?
Well, based on the answer to the last question, it's probably going to be split between healthy and about the same.
There you go. Yeah, very good.
But I do think there is some adjustments taking place in commercial real estate values. Thankfully, everybody, it's not like it was back in 2008, 2009, but there are some adjustments taking place, and I think one thing that's helping commercial real estate is most companies are requiring people to come back to work or at least be in a hybrid mode. So some of those empty offices.
All I know is I drive around my town here and I see a lot of shuttered stores still.
Yeah.
And, we have a big mall that just got demolished and they're going to put it in housing. So that's interesting trend on that. Anyway, Delaney, good luck on that, and we're looking forward to that. Lance, this is just a logistical thing everyone needs to know. I mean, go ahead, Lance. It's a form. Just they need to use as of what date, Lance?
Well, they're basically just extending the utilization of the 4506C. Not a lot of changes, but just extending again, utilizing that form to get transcripts on borrowers.
We have it. We have the notice attached, and you just have to make sure you're using the October 2022 IRS form. That's it. So
Yes.
make sure you're using that. Otherwise, it'll get bounced back, and you make a mistake once, and you won't do it again. I want to talk about Main Street Monday, Delaney. Why is this an important story? We always hear about money being thrown about, but this is a little bit different. Again, this is still COVID related, and 1.6 billion with a B is a pretty eye-popping number. But why now and why this?
Absolutely. Of course, there's been a lot of movements, such as extending the statute of limitations to pursue fraud, but there's been a lot of attention on COVID fraud and getting that money back. And I think now we're trying to support all of these prosecutors and other parties who have been investigating this so that they can continue doing this throughout the next decade. Part of this includes $300 million to triple the COVID fraud strike task force teams. This would establish 10 new teams, involve many different government entities. They want to hire 30 to 45 prosecutors as they create a forfeiture task force. Another aspect that was proposed is they want to give $100 million to the SBA OIG to continue pursuing PPP, idle fraud, restaurant revitalization fund, all of those different programs.
Yeah, and I believe this will get bipartisan support. And Lance, I don't have a problem with this. I don't know how you feel.
No, but I think thinking through it, Bob, first of all, fraud's wrong. I don't support fraud in any way.
I'm glad you're on that side of the issue. Go ahead.
So, and I would not commit fraud, period. So I want to make that statement before I start. But the question is, how much money are we going to spend pursuing small dollar fraud? And I guess the struggle I have, Bob, in 2021, the average size of a PPP loan was somewhere in the ballpark of $15,000, $16,000. So how much money can you spend going after that $15,000 or $16,000? And then the other thought I had, Bob, is we start putting all these people in jail. Are we not going to have some overcrowding issues?
Well, I'm going to argue hopefully on the common sense side of this, and they're going for sophisticated criminal syndicates.
Yeah.
They're not. I'm sure if there's some person who did a one-off, but they're going off who took well-off individuals who were engaged in this systematically in the systematic identity theft. We remember the story of the lender in Washington where they got the review and it was a small loan. It was under $10,000 and they got to say, hey, we want to review all the documents. Well, that doesn't make sense to me. And I agree with you on that, Lance. But in terms of the ones who took in what Delaney writes about on Fraud Friday, the nice cars and the people who obviously don't need it, go after them. So.
Yeah, I did. The only thought I had, Bob, is 2021, the vast majority of that was sole proprietors, independent contractors. They were smaller PPP loans. Heck, Bob, there were PPP loans that were like $750 during 2021. So, and I'm sure they've thought this through, but certainly we want to be good stewards of our federal tax dollars. So at what point do you say, does it make sense to pursue this particular individual? Now, in the cases you're talking about, Bob, in the fraud rings where there are multiple people involved and millions of dollars, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's hopefully what they do. Let's switch to Anna. And Anna, you have some interesting stats on hotels. I like this chart. Let's start with your barriers to entry. And obviously hotels, they have a huge barrier. They got to build something. But what are the other barriers that sometimes we don't pay attention to? Competition. What's going on with competition?
Yeah, so there's already a large number of hotels operating in the market, so any new entrants will have to work hard to differentiate themselves and attract customers. But that being said about competition, you can see that concentration is low, so that's good because it means that the existing hotels are spread out across different markets rather than being clustered in specific areas for the most part. So that is definitely good. And then you can see on the right here, this establishments chart kind of goes along with the life cycle stage that the hotel industry is in right now. So you can see here, pre-pandemic, we had 760,000 establishments, mid-pandemic, 660,000, and now we're projected for next year, this upcoming year, to have 807,000. Well, obviously, life cycle stage is growth. This means that the market is expanding, which could present opportunities for new hotels to succeed, but then it goes back to that competition thing. So competition can become more intense, and again, hotels have to work to differentiate themselves. Technology change is medium right now. Regulation and policy is light, and this is something interesting I wanted to quickly touch on because it means that there's these light regulations, so it's not really impeding new entrants, but there may be limited protections for new entrants into the market. So that's something to consider. And then finally, industry assistance is a little bit low right now from industry associations or other organizations. And this can make it a little more challenging for new hotels to establish themselves. So those are just some different barriers to entry that, like you said, aren't really as obvious, but definitely worth noting moving forward.
And what I have two things on this, Anna. One is, looks like we're doubling the number of hotels in about 10 years. From 2015, we're at 470,000, and we're going to almost double that with that. So that's a lot of growth, Lance.
Yeah, it looks like a robust period of growth over the next 3 or 4 years in hotels. And that's a good thing. The hotels were really slapped in the face by COVID, really struggled through that. And it's good to see the prospects of the hotel industry not only coming out, but growing very strongly.
One of the trends I see, Anna, is 20, 30 years ago, a lot of the hotels were single user. They had a flag, but they were mom and pops. Mom and pop lived in the hotel. They ran it. Usually first generation immigrant families ran it, did a very good job. And now they're second generation. And what they're doing, Lance, is they are starting to build up some generational net worth by adding several hotels and having their kids run them as well. So now you may have families that are operating 5 to 10 hotels. And that's a big difference than 30 years ago. And Lance, as a lender, I think we have an appetite for those type of projects.
Oh, absolutely, Bob. And of course, the SBA loan program is a great way to finance a hotel property. And, these statistics speak well for SBA lenders that are looking at hotel opportunities. If you're looking at it today, you want to see a good growth trajectory, and this chart certainly shares that.
And what's interesting about this, Anna, is the technology is changed. I mean, if we go into a hotel 5 years from now, it may be different on how to access the room or the reservations, but it's still going to be a room with a bed. I mean, that's not going to change too much on that. Let's make sure, Joseph, that we give Anna the SBA statistics, because that's going to be an important part of. We want to look at who the top lenders are and also their performance rates. And we just published the NICS report, and hotel performance rates are very, very low in terms of delinquency and charge-offs. That's why this is a very perfect niche for SBA lenders and for getting involved with entrepreneurs who are starting out and may not have the amount of capital that we would want in a conventional transaction.
Yep, absolutely. Well,
let's see. Delaney, what's going on? What are we doing next? We out of topics? Very good. Lance, do a plug for your webinar in a couple of weeks. What are you talking about?
Well, we're going to talk about some challenging servicing actions. We're going to talk about releases. in helping SBA lenders understand the three big release requests: release of collateral, release of guarantors, and release of borrowers. We're also going to bring up a topic that has not been talked about a lot recently, but 10 or 15 years ago, we talked about it on a daily basis, the offer and compromise, and how to effectively process an offer and compromise on an SBA loan. So taking some difficult servicing actions and trying to clarify what you need to do as an SBA lender to protect your guarantee.
And I'm going to be doing the webinar in a couple of days on SSBCI Lance. That is just the wild, wild west of what's going on with that. And that's finishing up that. And that's going to be an exciting topic. Real quick, make sure you fill out the compensation surveys if you would like a free copy of that. The deadline is March 15th, and I appreciate everyone's responses to date. We have tremendous feedback, and we will be cutting it off on the 15th, and we will publish by the end of the month. Ladies, thank you very much. Anna, nice report. Delaney, good job. Lance, good to see you as always. And Lance, I made a mistake last week. I said I was going to see you this week. I'm not going to see you this week. I'm going to see you next week in San Diego.
Yes, we're going to spend some time together in San Diego.
Not too late to sign up for that and get your staff down there, Hotel Coronado. Thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us today for today's episode. If you like today's content, hit that subscribe button to subscribe to our channel and click that bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. Thank you again for joining us today and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time. Catch you next time.